Hailing frequencies open, and welcome to Star Trek Discoverage, the live podcast that boldly goes into excruciating detail about this week's episode of Star Trek Lower Decks. I'm your host, Aaron Coker, aka Caliban, and the slit throat is too touristy now. Let's just go to the tipsy treble. Joining me on the show as usual is my co-host. She's also the co-host of the Generations Geek podcast, a more or less family-friendly celebration of geekdom. It's Ella Pearson. Ella, welcome back to Discoverage.
Thank you.
It's great to have you here. And returning to the show tonight, my co-host on the Just Enough Trope podcast. She's also the host of the Sailor Noob podcast, and she's a frequent Enterprising Individuals and Discoverage guest. It's Mika Hana. Mika, welcome back to Discoverage.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
And we have another guest tonight as well. Ella, do you want to introduce our fourth guest on the show?
Liquor?
All right, nothing inappropriate.
What kind of dog is Maisie?
She's a golden lab.
Oh,
I
love golden labs.
She's very sweet. There's also a much bigger black lab called Leo, and
Very
a Boston Terrier called Vigo.
Wow.
They're a little bit of a handful, but I think they'll settle in. There you go. Good girl.
Yeah.
Is
very
nice. Is Vigo named after Viggo Mortensen?
I think so. I'm like dog sitting for, it's like my partner's, like a longtime family friend of my partner's family.
Nice.
Yeah.
Viggo, as Viggo Mortensen, that makes perfect sense, but it's maybe a generational thing that I thought it was maybe Vigo from Ghostbusters 2.
Oh, maybe that's what it is.
But yeah, the less said, the better. Well, welcome everyone. Do you remember the 21st night of September? Because you're living it right now. And we're here to talk about a little Lower Decks. But first, let's talk about a little bit of the news in the world of Star Trek. And there isn't actually a ton of news to talk about, but I did see an interesting item that came out about a week ago that Brazilian scientists have discovered 3 new spider species.
Oh, gosh.
And they have published their findings in a journal, and they have named the spiders after Star Trek characters.
Oh, no.
Yes. It is 2 Brazilian researchers, Alexander Sanchez Ruiz and Alexandra B. Bonaldo, and they published their findings in the European Journal of Taxonomy. It's 3 different types of spiders. One was found, and these are all over Latin America, actually. One in Guatemala, I think one in Cuba, and one from Baja Sur California or something like that in Mexico.
Okay.
And they have named them... they're the Roddenberry genus.
Oh my God.
And the species is Kirk, Spock, and McCoy.
I was gonna guess that. Wow.
What
an honor.
That. Yeah.
And obviously, I mean, they are Star Trek, fans, but their reasoning in their paper was that the bodies of the spider resemble the shape of Star Trek ships, like with their thorax and their abdomen.
Oh my gosh.
Which I'm looking at pictures of them. I guess I didn't set them up to share, but I mean, they look like spiders. I think the real answer is that, they're Star Trek fans.
They're Star Trek fans.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Am I the only one who's just like a little bit terrified that there were 3 new species of spider that they were discovered like in South America? Like, I don't need there to be more spiders.
Yeah, we've got plenty of spiders. Yeah.
Like,
I'm sure there's more
yes,
that we haven't discovered.
I'm sure there are. Like, when they're in nature doing their own thing, great, fantastic. But I don't need them in my home.
3 new spiders to kill.
Yeah.
And it's the Roddenberry genus, which is a novel genus. It's a brand new one, and then the 3 different species. So these are all sort of related by genus, but they're different ones.
Okay.
And this is obviously this is not a new thing. Scientists naming new species or genuses after things that they like, characters and stuff. There's a SpongeBob something or other. Recently, also earlier this year, there was a new snake, a species of slender snake called the Tachymenoides harrisonfordi, named after Harrison Ford. Not Indiana Jones, named after Harrison Ford.
Interesting.
Yeah. Which is ironic because a snake got no arms, and Harrison Ford's always pointing at people. He's always pointing at people in his movies.
No arms.
So, every movie.
I don't know how this snake is going to do that. But
Didn't I hear that, like, Harrison is not afraid of snakes, like, at all. But
Yeah, I don't think so.
But the whole running thing with Indiana Jones is he hates snakes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I don't know if I know he's been asked that, and I don't know if he's ever copped to being afraid of anything else. But yeah, I have heard him say, like, no, I'm not really afraid of snakes. I just point. I said, no, snake, no. You're the snake. So yeah, that's about it for news in the world of Trek. Of course, the strike continues, both for the writers and the actors. Although I hear the writers could possibly be close to some kind of deal, is the last scuttlebutt that I heard.
Okay.
So hopefully things will be moving forward as far as that goes. But no new information on that front. I did see an article about. And I don't even remember what it was, but do you guys remember, what's this, Joe? Is that his name? Or is his name Joe in The Flash? The guy that plays Barry's sort of surrogate dad in The Flash. And then
In
he
the
was,
TV show?
yeah, and he's on Law and Order, one of the seasons.
Oh, yeah.
And he was also
Joe. Isn't he named Joe?
No, I think the character's Joe.
Character's Joe,
Yeah.
yes.
I can't remember the actor's name. He's in Rent.
He was in Rent,
yeah.
yes.
Anyway,
Really good actor.
He's on some new show, and I think I was reading AV Club or something was saying, that's it. This is the bottom of the barrel. This is the last like green-lit show to go out, and now the hangar's empty.
Okay.
Other than Dancing with Stars, which some stars are leaving Dancing with Stars because of the strike, which is set to debut soon. That's it. So hopefully that means that we'll be a little closer to the finish line and getting the workers what they're looking for. But yeah, it looks bleak for TV coming up. But we got season 5 of Discovery, and we've got more Lower Decks, of course.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really hope they, come to an agreement soon, because I'm just, solidarity with all the writers and the actors, and I just think it's ridiculous that it's dragged on this long.
Yeah. Of course, if we're going to talk about this, let's do it.
Yeah.
Recently, Drew Barrymore got in hot water because she wanted to start her show up again.
Like Casey Jones.
Yeah, without using, presumably without using any writers. I don't know how they would have done it, but
she's just gonna do it off the cuff. Who would she talk to? Like,
well, it's like when people go on podcasts, or they go, maybe they go to the Today Show or something like that, and they just like, well, they can't talk about their project. They just talk about other stuff. And I've seen articles from like both sides of the argument, like how she was probably needed to do this because there's things in people's contracts that say if you don't make a show, it doesn't give you, probably to keep you working, it doesn't give, there is no language about like, well, it's a strike, so if you don't produce a certain amount of shows in a certain amount of time. Right. But she got in trouble for it.
Yeah.
And then she apologized, but the apology was like, I'm sorry, but I'm still going to do it. And then people didn't accept the apology, and then now she's not going to do it. And then Bill Maher is going to go back to do his show completely unapologetically. Mm-hmm. But because of the Drew Barrymore situation, is not doing his show either. And so, now we're seeing the bereaved turn on each other, and that's not what we need. We need the solidarity.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Exactly. That's 100%. And you need to all be together. All for one and one for all. I mean, that's the Three Musketeers, but
right.
I think
United we stand. Yeah, the Three Musketeers big into organized labor, big time. Yeah.
Well, they had each other's backs.
They did. That's right. Their horses should have started a union.
Oh my gosh, I know. They they run their horses like ragged.
They're riding horses to death all the time.
And then they're like,
books.
"Oh, I lost my horse.
And just
oh,
leap
I sold
off
my
that horse and onto another horse and see you later, horse. Yeah.
I feel so bad.
Or their servants. Their servants too should have a union. But anyway, enough of classic French literature. Let's talk about the 4th episode of the 4th season of Star Trek Lower Decks, an episode entitled Something Borrowed, Something Green. We're here to talk all about it, but first, a warning, listeners. We're setting a course for the spoiler zone, so if you haven't seen the episode, spoilers are incoming. The official synopsis for Something Borrowed, Something Green is Tendi is summoned back to Orion for a wedding. Yeah, that's what happens. Succinct. The episode was written by Grace Parra-Janney and directed by Bob Suarez. Stardate zilch. No stardate for this episode, but it takes place in the calendar year 2381. Again, there's just a sort of general hodgepodge of actors who have been, voice actors who have been on the show before that show up again tonight. Nolan North does another voice. Carrie Walgren's back. But I thought it was interesting that Ariel Winter, formerly of Modern Family, provides the voice of De'Erica, Tendy's sister, tonight.
Okay.
So what do you guys think? What do you think about Something Borrowed, Something Green? Mika, why don't you let us know what you thought?
Yeah, I thought it was okay. I think it was interesting to learn a little bit more about Tindy and her past, especially like she's clearly so embarrassed by it. And I'm actually kind of curious what both of you think is going on there, because like she is so embarrassed about her past. She doesn't want to go home. Is she embarrassed about her family? I've got lots of questions. Like what's at the root here? Or like she's embarrassed of like who she was raised to be, you know, as Prime. But so I thought that part was really interesting. The Boimler Rutherford stuff I was a little disappointed in, because I wanted, for their first time being in the holodeck, I wanted a little bit more than dueling Samuel Clemens.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's so much build up. Like they finally get to be in the holodeck, and then this is what it wasn't not funny. It just like I wanted more.
My main complaint was that like their Mark Twain's were just like, I'm just a simple country lawyer.
Thank you.
Like,
I was gonna bring that up
and
too.
it wasn't like, Mr. Data. Oh, let's talk about King Arthur in his court or whatever. And like it's like Jerry Harden is still alive, so Jerry Harden could watch this and go, it's still good. No, turn that off.
I know.
But maybe it's the question of having like 3 or 4 different actors all have to kind of settle on something that is Mark Twain-ish. Generally,
guess.
yeah.
I also was disappointed that Boimler did not reference what Data meeting Mark Twain.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I just
Really?
felt like
Yeah.
yes,
You lower
for a
text,
show that is
let
so
a pitch go right by.
yes. But yeah,
What do I have to do? Leave my head in a cave in San Francisco to make up with you here? Ella, what'd you think about the episode?
I liked it. I had a good time. I did also think the holodeck bit sort of like fell flat. Like I feel like Tendy's arc and like being on Orion was way more interesting.
yeah.
But yeah, I love seeing her family, and I think, I mean, Talin's hilarious. Like, I'm so happy they have her on this season. I feel like the voice actor who's like, I don't know what the name is of the person who's playing her, but I feel like they're doing almost like a caricature of a Vulcan. Like it's almost sort of robot-esque.
Yeah.
But it's not quite the like, because I had this thought where I was like, whoever's acting as, Talin is doing a bit too much. And then I was like, actually, this is hilarious because it's like a caricature of what Vulcans are.
Definitely.
I don't know how you guys feel, but I'm glad that she's here. I'm glad that she's like becoming more of like she's almost like a main character this season.
I was thinking that other than races that we've kind of, I don't know, retired, like Andorians and Talarians and stuff like that, who, even though they're founding members of the Federation, I don't know, whatever, they just don't appear in 24th century stuff that much. Are the Orions like the race that appears the most, that we kind of know the least about? Like we have like Orion characters, main characters now. I guess this is the time to develop it, but this is the first time I think we've seen Orion, right? Like they went to some Orion settlement before. I don't know if it was on the planet Orion. So it's just interesting that they're sort of getting the chance to build that up. Did you guys, of course not, the answer's no, but did you guys at all get Prodigal Daughter vibes? Remember the DS9 episode Prodigal Daughter, where
Which was that one?
we see Ezri's family on Trill.
Oh yeah, and she
And-
wasn't happy about being home either.
Yeah, and plus, it's just weird because you're a different person every time like you come home. But like,
Right.
and her family's kind of like, it was kind of like a like a Faulkner novel or something like that. Her family's like, oh, I, rely on the kindness of strangers, and they have like this huge estate, and they're kind of like have these family, squabbles and ties with each other, and we're sort of suddenly set into this kind of environment. That's kind of what it felt like a little, at least
Yeah.
for the first part for me.
I can see that. It's also like there's something nefarious going on with one of her brothers, I remember, but I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, she doesn't get along with him or something. And also, they're trying to find, like, O'Brien's lost or something. They're trying to find O'Brien for some reason. It's a weird episode. It's a weird episode.
Not at all.
At the very end, they tried to, like, we got to give Esri some more stuff to do. And so they did that episode.
Yeah.
So what gets me about Tendi is that every single time that we do a Tendi episode, it's kind of the same, like, beat. Like, and it puts us in a position with what I mentioned before, not knowing a lot about the Orions, but then they play, which is like fine, they show up, they're pirates, but maybe they're not so bad. Or if you do something like Discovery did with the Wicked Witch.
Oh, yes.
It starts with an O. I can't remember the character's name.
Her name.
Where
Yeah.
she's like, no, I'm putting together like a pirate, Fredonia kind of thing where we're gonna bring everybody on board. But in like Lower Decks, where they're taking they're taking the tropes of Trek and sort of like skewing them. She keeps telling us like, oh, they're not really like this. They're not really like this. And every time we see the Orion Society, they're exactly what everybody thinks about Orions.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Yeah.
I feel uncomfortable because usually the thing in Trek is we do find out that like, yeah, Klingons are a certain way, but we meet Klingons like Worf,
Right.
or other Klingons who aren't necessarily a certain way, and so they're kind of like having their cake and eating it too, as far as representing a monoculture. Because usually Trek's thing is like, well, we started with monocultures, but now we're showing that you can do more than that. But like the Orions are just like this punchline where it's like they are exactly that, and then Tendi's like the one magical princess who's like, no, I like science.
Right.
No stabbing. Don't look at the stabbing. Don't look at the pheromones.
Yeah.
And they've kind of done that every single time, and like it's still funny, but every time they do it, it's like, all right, but like, is there going to be something else to Orion Society? I don't know. I think that the returns keep diminishing. That's what I'm seeing in season 4 so far. It's like we keep going back to kind of the same things, and it's like, okay, I'm going to do that again.
I see what you're saying. Like, I do think that like we learned a little bit more this time because we met her family and we learned more about wedding rituals, which we didn't know anything about.
Yeah.
But we have seen Tindy being like a badass before, and we know that she's a badass, and we see her being a badass again. It's just apparently she's also part of like a wealthy, well-known, respected family, and she's also embarrassed about that.
We get background on that. Background? Why'd I say it like that? We get background on that badassery too, in that as the scion of this high-placed family, yeah, she has to be a prime. And so that's just sort of like, sibling rivalry writ large.
Right.
But do you think in Orion Society, like every family has like a prime or has like a oldest sibling or a spawn that has to represent and be the person that's gonna be their assassin?
I don't know if it's like
I don't know
every
either. Like I want to
family.
know this
Well,
stuff
yeah,
about
right.
about the Orions.
I get what you're saying. Like, they brought us to Orion, but they didn't really give us as much world building as we would have liked. Like, I don't know. It would be cool to know more about it.
Where are the peg legs?
The peg legs?
If they're all pirates.
Oh, they're pirates.
where are the parrots?
Well, I think that also reminded me of like what you were saying about like being somewhat repetitive. That ship that is the runner for this season, I guess, that like just like turns and like obliterates ships as soon as you see those characters.
Yeah.
I would like something more to happen, please.
Okay.
Because it's just like the same beat.
We usually do this at the end, but we'll do it right now. Here's my crackpot theory.
Okay.
This is what it is. The ship is an updated version of the whale probe from Star Trek 4.
I was thinking about that.
They haven't done anything with that yet. And this week, it like... First of all, it's all white, and it's got the sort of lines on it. and when it turned around, it made kind of like a farting, music noise like the probe does, and it sucks their power away. Right, every time it's seen another ship, they've been like, "We're losing power to all systems,"
Yes.
which is what the whale probe does. So it is it's spawn of whale probe. It's a bratty teen version of the whale probe. That's my theory.
All right.
But anyway, yeah, I'd like to know more about it too.
I just would like to it's fine if it's like a teaser or a runner for the entire season. Just give us a little something more each time, not just like, here's a wacky band of characters that you're not going to get to know very well, and they're dead.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, and we use characters like Talin, other characters I'm not thinking of right now, but like when they introduce wacky characters, you want them to stick around because one day they could visit the Cerritos, so they'd run into them again. And so it's interesting that they want to just create these single serving wacky characters. And then do you think it's you don't have to think this, it's my theory. I think that they want to take the success of their episode, was it one ship or three ships or whatever it was, when we saw the three different ships, the Romulan ship, the Vulcan ship, and the Cerritos.
Yeah, it was last
and
season,
take that
right?
sort of slice of life and spread it out to. They want to they want to pee all over the the rest of the Star Trek universe, and so maybe we'll see another Vulcan ship. It'd be like, oh, it's not logical that this probe is. Oh, I'm very worried that we're gonna die. We're gonna see other races, other fleets interact with this thing. See some Borg. Maybe the Borg are like, we'll assimilate it. No, power down.
Power's down. Oh no, not the Borg.
That's kind of what I think is going on there.
Okay.
I did think today, I was like, all right, I've had enough of the silly like openers or closers with the new characters and then them all like dying. I was like, I want to know a little bit more. Like I was like, oh, I bet when I saw it, I was like, oh, I bet today's the day. I bet we'll learn some more.
Uh-huh. I also had a thought that, like, at the beginning, because it was Orions, and they were, like, saying, oh, we're not pirates, we're pirate adjacent, which that's kind of a fun line.
What does that mean?
I don't know. They're not quite doing
we're
illegal
privateers,
stuff, but
it's
yes.
totally different.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I thought that maybe somebody on board that ship would be a relative of Tindy's, and there would be some sort of plot that way, but that's not what happened.
Well, we can't hook into that main plot yet.
No.
This is there's 10 episodes, so maybe halfway through, maybe next week we'll see something more. But I get the feeling that it might. Who knows? It could be a total Shaggy Dog situation where, it shows up in the finale, and they're like, "What's this?" Shoot it with a torpedo and just blows up, and that's it. We never know
Oh my
what
gosh.
it was.
I hope not.
Like a Douglas Adams situation. What else? I'm trying to get this straight now. So Tendi has told everybody that the pheromones are just Federation propaganda.
Apparently.
But they're like totally real.
They're totally real.
So is Tendi the
hilarious thing to do?
Yeah, well, it's interesting. That's a funny thing to keep going. That like I don't know if Tendy's the only Orion Starfleet crew member, but like that she's like this font of misinformation for the Federation. So they keep trying to go right. So okay, so you guys don't stab each other. Oh, interesting. Okay, we'll have to give that to the anthropologists. And meanwhile, it's just like stabathon on Orion.
The jar, the like vase full of bloody daggers at the bar.
Oh my god!
Right,
yes.
like a comb jar at a barber shop.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
Oh my gosh!
You got to keep them in the blue water.
I did feel bad for Mariner getting stabbed in the shoulder like 3 times.
That's funny.
I did have a question. So when Tindy is at home, her mom calls her you're the Prime or whatever. But then when we finally meet up with Derica, they're fighting, and she's like, I had to become the Prime. Mm-hmm. So is Tindy still the Prime? Or is that passed on to Derica? Does that not even matter? Like, I was trying to figure out what was going on there, and I might be overthinking the situation.
I don't know. It's interesting that if you want to take the pirate metaphor all the way, like a culture that is completely centered around piracy would involve, a survival of the fittest or
Sure.
like the strongest wins type thing. And so it's interesting to see them introduce like this rigidity into their family or their cultural structure. So maybe is Tendi the first person to ever say, I don't want to be a prime? Is she the
Maybe.
first person in a culture full of pirates and people going off and seeking fortune and adventure? It's hard to imagine that that's true, but so maybe it does just sort of shift to the next one down. But I don't know. Like something that didn't happen but would be interesting is if her parents kind of they accepted her desire to be in Starfleet, but they saw it as like a longer grift on her part. Like if they were like, oh, I bet you're doing really good. I bet you're impressing your captain, so you can steal the ship later, right?
Oh.
Oh, you're joining Starfleet. Good.
Yeah, give lots of back rubs
Great,
so you know where to put the
honey.
knife.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Someday she'll come
See-
home at the with a Federation ship. I just know it.
That's brilliant, because then that also like makes it more clear like why she would be embarrassed to be at home like in front of her Starfleet friends.
Fans.
She does have fans.
She does have fans.
But her friends.
Yeah.
That would make way more sense why she'd be embarrassed. I did enjoy the part where her dad was like, of course we wanted to see you. Also, we have a box of your stuff that
Right.
we would like you to take,
Yeah.
because that is 100% correct.
Yeah. She'd bring any laundry with her.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I feel like if you're raised as like, and you're supposed to embody this like cutthroat, deadly, like sexy assassin, and you like weren't rocking with it, I can see how you'd be like, haha, she's just joking. I've never been here. I've never seen these men before in my life. I I like science. I'm a serious scientist, you know?
Just got to keep your lies straight.
Yeah, I've never done 9 shots when a bug is about to bite me.
Yeah, with the death bug.
I have never played beer pong, you know?
Something a little off topic for a second. Usually, since I've got you all here, usually every season there is at least one episode that's like the outlier episode. Your peanut hamper episode,
Sure.
or I guess
Peanut
your
Peanut hamper.
your holodeck episode. Do you guys think that they'll have one this season, and what do you think it'll be?
Ooh, I think they probably will have one. Didn't you say that Jeffrey Combs is coming back?
I heard that he was.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what if it has to do with his character?
Oh, just him, like him doing
Oh.
evil robot stuff.
Yeah, because isn't Peanut Hamper in the same sort of thing as he is?
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe that would be too similar.
So your vote is a Jeffrey Combs peanut hamper episode?
Yes.
I can see that.
Yes, it
Yes.
is.
I can see that.
What do you think?
What do I think?
Yeah, I'm asking you your question.
I'd like to see them. I know I'm a broken record, but I'd like to see them find a way to do an Enterprise era show. Not going. I mean, if you're going to do it, then you want to be on the NX-01, and I'm sure Connor Trenier and other people would love to come back and do voices, but.
Sure.
But to do some kind of conspiracy or something, because we had that thing with Rutherford before with the shadowy men
Yeah.
and the thing. Something
We should
that
go back
like
to that.
some plot element where we see a flashback. Either they travel in time, or we're just seeing characters from like that era, and have them kind of put their lower deck stink on, the 22nd century too.
That'd be cool.
Ella, do you think there will be an outlier episode?
Maybe. I mean, I guess, and maybe I'm a broken record too. I would love an outlier that's like, let's say T'Lyn gets called back to the Vulcan Science Academy, okay?
Sure.
And she goes, and she gets there, and it's like boring, right? And she wants to come back.
Sure. Yeah, having her there is, I think they want to expand the cast, but I definitely think that she's there, for
But yeah. But I also
she's
feel
a
like
ticking time bomb.
just a
Yeah.
full episode, all Vulcans, like
Mm.
it's just her going back. We get like the captain. Like I feel like that could be a good outlier. I don't know.
be interesting.
But I would love a peanut hamper. I mean, I feel like I didn't mind the peanut hamper episode. I didn't mind it. I wouldn't say it's the best episode of Lower Decks really, but I didn't mind it, and I wouldn't mind if they did it again, frankly, with just like something totally random like that.
Mm-hmm.
I would be excited about it if Jeffrey Combs was there. Yeah. Peanut hamper was annoying.
Did you guys did you get a chance to watch the very short treks at all?
I've seen like 2, I think.
Oh,
I
you
don't
have?
know how many
Okay.
there are.
Yeah, a third one came out this week, and it is
Oh.
a TNG era one. It's got Gates McFadden and Jonathan Frakes in it.
Okay.
That part I was ready to write this article 2 weeks ago, but I'm seeing articles where people are like, "Is this it? Are these supposed to be funny?"
Yeah.
People are having kind of bad reactions to them, so I just wondered if you guys had seen them at all.
It was the one I saw with like Kirk and like Spock. It was like Kirk was feeling, I don't even remember what happened. Like Kirk was like feeling
Pete
embarrassed
Holmes
about something.
voiced Kirk.
Oh.
Yeah.
Who's that?
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
Yeah.
what's that?
He kept saying things and like it was like disrespectful to officers on the bridge, but they were like part animal, a lot of them, and stuff like that.
Right. There's no more than one way to skin a cat.
Yes, and then there
And-
was a cat
and
character
Morass is
who was
like,
like, oh, how
What?
dare you?
How dare you? Yeah. And it's like, okay, now we can get 3 out of that, right?
Uh-huh.
Oh, that's the whole sketch.
That it was
Oh,
the
that's
whole
all.
sketch.
All 6 minutes is just going to be
Yeah.
that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, that's one way to do it.
Yes.
Anything else you guys can think of to say about this episode? I'll get you started. It was solid, but once again, I'm wondering like what the next phase is going to be. I don't think it's enough to just give them promotions and then keep doing the same stuff. I would like to see, especially with Prodigy, gone,
I know.
and we still don't know the future of Prodigy, but I don't think it looks great.
No.
With Lower Decks carrying the torch for animated Trek, I'd like to see it, really stretch and really kind of go to a new level. But anyway, what do you guys think? Mika.
Okay. I think it would be great for it to stretch to like, let's see.
You can't take mine.
Okay. Sorry.
No, I'm just kidding.
I want to see more from these characters. I want to see them being challenged more in their new roles and their new responsibilities. We got a very nice roommate situation happening where we're maybe too nice and then we get a little mad at each other about who's going to water the bonsai or whatever. But this isn't like, I want to see them being stressed out about things they have to do and getting over it and, overcoming things they didn't think that they could overcome. And yeah, I want to see them grow.
Weird.
That's what I want.
Menagerie. Thumbs up.
Mm-hmm.
Boimler and Rutherford get handcuffed together, and they lost the key. Sitcom level plots. Maybe
Yes.
thumbs down. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ella, any hopes for the future of this season and in the future for Lower Decks?
I would love some more, they're Lieutenant Junior grade now, and I would love more, when they had that away mission and Boimler was in command, but he was still biffing it. I would
Yes.
love some more,
Yes.
I want the same stuff, not the same stuff we always saw, but I would like some more stuff. I would like to be on the ship, and I would like them to be doing Lieutenant Junior grade work. The chips bit I thought was really good,
Yeah.
but I would love some more well, you're a Lieutenant Junior. You're a Lieutenant Junior grade now, so why don't you,
Yeah.
Why don't you go tell someone to muck out the holodecks?
Right.
I would that's what I think I would like.
That person gets a disease from the holodeck waste, and then he feels really bad about it.
Yeah.
God.
I was
And
thinking-
Ensign is like, no, it's okay. it was my pleasure. Anything, really anything, any order you give me.
I was thinking too, it's like, if they're 22, 24 minutes long, you've got a lot to get through, and not as much time as the usual episode of Star Trek. And I don't feel like they don't remember or pay attention to like where they've been before. But these guys have been through a lot already, and it doesn't always come up. We've already had like Boimler had a Thomas Riker clone, that like
That's
died and
true.
stuff like that. Like
Yeah.
a lot of things have happened to these characters already. And so I guess if I added an extra thing, I'd like to, see them not constantly refer, because they're already referring to Trek, but referring to themselves. Or maybe Lower Decks could be a reference show for Lower Decks. I don't know. But like, don't forget about the things that have already happened to them, up
The
to this point.
Spider-Man meme, they're just pointing fingers at each other.
Yeah, it's just Boimler, clone Boimler, mirror universe Boimler,
Exactly.
goatee, all pointing at each other.
Yes.
I gotta go. I gotta get Photoshop up. So we'll wrap this up right now. I was gonna say, as far as my math goes, this is the 900th episode of Star Trek ever. So
What?
they've got plenty to refer to if they want to do that.
Yeah.
And for what it's worth, congratulations to Star Trek, and here's to 900 more.
Oh my gosh.
I kind of want to see that Babylon 5 reboot. Let's see that.
Yeah.
But I do want to see 100 more episodes of Star Trek. So here's to the future as far as that goes. Well, that is it for our show this week. Thanks for joining us, listeners. And if you like what you hear, you can follow us on Facebook and Twitter at EISTPOD for updates and to get notified when new episodes of both Enterprising Individuals and this show, Discoverage, are released. And you can tweet to us on the show by using the hashtag Discoverage or email us at EISTPOD@gmail.com. And while you're on the internet, why not head to your listening platform of choice and find our show, Enterprising Individuals, subscribe to us, give us a like, rating, and a review. It really does help us out. And if you like the show, tell a friend and share it on social media. We'll be here next Thursday, September 28th, for the 5th episode of Lower Decks' 4th season. Another episode we don't know anything about, but we'll be here on Thursday to cover it and going live once again at 8 p.m. Central. So join us then and follow us on Twitter or Facebook at EISTPOD to get notified when we're live and broadcasting. Mika, thanks as always for joining us to talk about tonight's episode of Lower Decks and
Thank you.
remind people where they can find you online.
Yeah, you can find me at justenoughtrope.com, and our other podcast is Sailor Noob, so you can find me at noob_sailor at Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, you name it.
And what is happening on Sailor Noob right now?
Well, we just recently hit the benchmark of 150 episodes out of 200.
Here's to another 150.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, wait, there aren't 150 more
No,
episodes.
but it's so that's a lot, and we're also in the middle of Supers, which is really bad season. So that's also a lot.
Sometimes the worst subjects, though, can make the funnest podcast.
Yeah, I mean,
Or
we're
that's the
having
theory.
fun with it. It's
That's
it's
the theory,
just,
at least.
Yeah, it's just not fun to watch. So
Yeah. All right. Well, if that sounds good, check it out.
yeah.
At Sailor, what the hell is noob_sailor on Twitter? Yeah.
Yes.
And Ella, thanks as always for joining me to talk about Lower Decks. Remind people where they can find you online.
Thank you. You can follow me on Twitter at Gondor Gold.
All right. I'm at what am I at? At KA1IBAN on X.com. So find us there. You can also find all of the shows on the Just Enough Trope Network at Just Enough Trope on Twitter or at JustEnoughTrope.com. And that is it for us. Thanks for joining us. We are signing off, and this is Aaron.